All right, hi, how's everybody doing? I'm Jeremy Langlois coming to you from Houmas House Estate and Gardens. Hope everybody is doing great out there and welcome back. We were actually off last week, both me and Jesse, believe it or not, we took a vacation. What? They actually let us do that here? Yeah, well, from a time to time, but we both had a vacation, so it kind of timed out perfectly, so we were away last week. But I'm not going to speak for Jesse, but I'm happy to be here today and happy that y'all have decided to tune in. Like always, guys, if you like what we're doing, please go ahead, do us a big favor. If you enjoy these videos, hit that share button. It helps get this video and this content out to more people, and we just appreciate it. And also, at any point, as we're cooking or getting things together, at any point, if you have any questions, guys, I'm an open book. Feel free to ask any questions away. Age, favorite thing to eat, marital status, anything. Married, by the way. You know, go ahead and ask any questions we just love interacting with you guys. It's so much fun. All right, let's go ahead and just jump into our dish today. You know, I decided to do something a little bit different today. I almost never do hors d'oeuvres as part of our cooking demonstrations, but I thought, you know what, as we're kind of in this kind of peak Louisiana hotness here, I wanted to do something light, something cool, something simple, and that's what we're going to, and something classic. So that's what we have planned for you guys today. And what we're going to do is show you how to make Crabmeat Maison. Now this is, if you've ever heard of that before, that's because this is just one of those classic crab meat, just like crabmeat remoulade, one of these classic crab meat dishes that hails from the restaurant of Galatoire's from the French Quarter on Bourbon Street, and they've probably been serving this at their restaurant for over 80 years. Just a classic French Quarter New Orleans recipe. It's actually based on, like everything in New Orleans, it comes from that great French Creole heritage. And this is an evolution of a dish that was started at Antoine's, one of the oldest restaurants in the world, or in the country, of their crab ravigote, using that French style. And in France, ravigote often isn't served with seafood. It's actually often served with veal. But like our Creole cooking, we take the ideas from the many countries that we all hail from, and it all gets mixed up in our Creole dishes. Creole really means a mixture of colors, like a box of Crayola crayons, and just everything mixed together. So this has a classic dish, but comes from the French roots that has evolved. Spit out a lot of info there. Just great history with this dish, but just watch how simple it is and it comes together. Now, I'm going to do this hors d'oeuvre style where I'm going to serve it on a little crostini. However, oftentimes, if you were to go to Galatoire's, they serve it often on a salad or topping fish or something like that. But let's go ahead. Let's just jump in, get started, and kind of talk what we're doing. French bread for the crostinis. French bread's great. I got some French bread. But also, look, I always love showing different options, different techniques. I just went and found some really nice sliced bread, which often everybody has access to at the grocery store. So we're going to make some crostinis a couple of different ways. Insanely simple, but maybe show you a couple little tricks that you can do. First, I'm just going to start with this bread. Let's just cut a little piece off. You know, I like to cut down my bread to where it's easily can be eaten in 1 or 2 bites. So what I'm going to do here is kind of cut this down a bit to where I get to the size I want. Anytime I'm ever cutting anything, I'm always looking to lay something flat, whether I'm starting off cutting something, so I say like a lemon, I'm always going to nip a part off so it can sit flat because I don't want it to roll on me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this bread and I'm just literally going to thinly slice this. That's how, if you got your French bread, maybe some ciabatta bread, something like that, you can easily, this is a method I want you to use. Take it and just get a couple quick slices. Get that out of the way. And we're going to drop them on a sheet pan. You don't even necessarily have to spray your sheet pan, but it doesn't hurt if you do. Always helps if you're worried about something sticking, but oftentimes I find with croutons and crostinis, they don't often stick. I want to show you a cool little fun trick. Again, you know, this is just a nice whole grain wheat bread, and this was a kind of thin piece of sourdough. Fine thinner pieces is great. Actually, if you really want them to have nice shape, I got a little cookie cutter here, and I'm just going to punch out. Look, I'm not even taking them out. I'm just going to punch out a couple pieces of bread. Boom, that's 4 from here. And it just makes these perfect little circles, and these will bake up fantastic too, and they'll look nice and pretty, and gonna bake up and just be nice and round, and it's gonna make a great little vehicle for your hors d'oeuvres. You know, you don't have to, of course you can use crackers or something like that, but man, just do this real quick and it is insanely simple. So I got my bread all sliced up. I have over here This is just some extra virgin olive oil I put in here. You can pour it directly on, but if you got a little pastry brush or a paintbrush, I'm just going to paint each of these pieces lightly with a little topping of extra virgin olive oil on top. Of course, you know, extra virgin olive oil is one of my favorite oils. Anytime I'm cooking or anything like that, just because of its natural flavor, I'm always looking to use extra virgin olive oil, say over something like a salad oil, which really is great for searing, but it oftentimes doesn't have that flavor that this extra virgin olive oil is going to add. And then here's just some kosher salt. I'm going to sprinkle that right on top of this as well, and this is just going to help it give a little bit of pop whenever whenever you taste it. And then set your oven 350 degrees, pop it in. Doesn't take long, y'all. We're talking 5 to 10 minutes. Just keep your eye on them because they can burn pretty quick if you do forget about them. God knows in my chef career I have burnt tons of croutons, just kind of forgetting about them. But after about 5 or so minutes, boom, we got some nice toasted pieces of bread. They're nice and crispy, and they're just a great vehicle for any hors d'oeuvre that you wanted to use, or this would be great on a salad as well. All right, so we got our crostinis knocked out. Let's move on to just, watch how easy it is just to actually make this Crabmeat Maison and how simple it comes together. You know, this is very similar to, I threw out a couple words earlier, both crabmeat remoulade and crabmeat ravigote. All of these are very similar. Oftentimes, ravigote will have something like horseradish in it. This doesn't have horseradish in it, but a lot of similar things like mayo and Creole mustard. So first, we'll make the dressing and then we'll fold our crab in. So let's talk about each one. I'm going to start off with just some good old mayonnaise. Like always, everyone, our recipes are found online. So if you go to our houmashouse.com, look, houmashouse.com, there's a bunch of menus on the top. One of the drop-down menus says resources. Click that. Little menu will pop up. Recipes, everything we've ever done. I think I don't know, Jesse, I don't know how many recipes we're sitting on, but I'd probably say about 70 or so are up there now. We keep growing. Next, we're going to have some whole grain Dijon mustard or Creole mustard is going to be fantastic for this. And I'm just going to kind of get in that. Look, this is simple. I'm just mixing this right in. I'm going to mix that in. And that will go in here as well. Next, what makes this Maison, we're going to add a little bit of capers. Now, what is a caper? If you're not familiar with capers, often you see them in Italian, French, Spanish cuisine, the Mediterranean countries. And their capers are berry. Oftentimes, they're like olive's cousin. They grow on a tree just like an olive, and they're often picked and then brined, just like how an olive is brined, and they just give a great kind of salty flavor to some of the dishes that you're making, whether it's veal piccata, which we've made here before, or these dressings just chopped up in these dressings. Fantastic. In the classic Galatois style, we're going to add a little bit of, you see, coarsely chopped celery. Well, the reason we add this is actually going to give, whenever we bite into this, it's going to, you know, celery is rather mild. You notice we're not putting onions or shallots, although if you do like that, totally experiment. You could throw those in here. But what this celery is going to do is add this really great, crispy, fresh crunch and bite to your dish that, you know, the crab meat itself is fairly soft. So this is going to add this really great textural crunch whenever you bite into it. So it's just fantastic. Works out great. Next, we're going to grate some lemon into here. I have a microplane, but a cheese grater works just as fine. And all we're doing is looking to get a little bit of this lemon zest in here. We can also cut this lemon in and add a little bit of lemon juice. Lemon and seafood always goes hand in hand perfectly. But we're just putting a little zest in today. And just even me, I wish there was smell-o-vision, because even as I start to grate this, you can see instantly lots of lemon flavor. You're kind of releasing the oils, and that's going to kind of come into this and really give it that fresh, bright lemon flavor that's going to be added to this dish. And then finally, we're just adding some chopped parsley. Chopped parsley, more than just a garnish, y'all. Parsley really is a great cleansing, vibrant herb that really does enhance the flavor of many of the dishes you have. It's not just used for garnish. So it's always just this nice, refreshing herb you can put in anything. I love chopped parsley. I think it's the most versatile herb on the planet. So I love using it. So this is it. This is our base. Look how easy it is. Just a few ingredients, insanely simple. Of course, we always come back and season with a little bit of salt and pepper to taste, however you like it. I love using my fresh cracked black pepper. It gives it a nice peppery pop. just grinding it right fresh into your dish, but whatever you have is fantastic. And then like always, feel free to season it how you like. If you like spicier, well, hot sauce might be great in here. If you like certain other seasonings, they would be fantastic in it as well. I'm always a big fan of experimenting because that's what I do. I love playing in the kitchen and coming up with new things and trying things and see what works and oftentimes what doesn't work. So we're going to get that in there. Now that this dressing is ready to go, we're ready to coat it with the crab meat. So I have here a pound of jumbo lump crab meat. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but I just wanted to kind of touch on it because especially in today's market. And of course, Galatoire's oftentimes serves us with boiled shrimp as well, so that's another alternative, but we're using crab, but crab meat prices have really gone up lately, and it's super expensive. So I just wanted to spend one moment talking about how we want to clean and check out our crab meat. So whenever you buy a crabs, Louisiana blue crabs out of the Gulf of Mexico are only going to have 2 lumps per crab. It's one of the reasons why they're more expensive. Now, of course, you can use claw, or they have back fin, which is just this, but it's been cut up, and through the process, it's gotten chopped up. So we really want to take care of this, but we want to look for shells. So oftentimes, I'll literally go through lump by lump, and if there's ever a piece of crab meat, it's often here at the top, or a piece of shell, I just touch and see if there's any. We'll kind of take my lumps and kind of feel for it. This has already been picked through, but I'm looking for little shells, and I just put them to the side. Because the last thing you want to do whenever you bite into this is bite into a shell. But once we have that, again, I was talking about how expensive crab meat is. That means we have to handle it very delicately. So when it puts them in there, and when I say handle it delicately, I just don't want to crush up the crab meat because we're paying so much for jumbo lump crab meat, we want to keep it jumbo. So we don't want to get in here with a spoon and just mix this and shred it all up. We want to keep those nice, beautiful, big lumps intact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold it in. When we say folding, it's no different than whenever you're folding egg whites into a souffle base. I'm not taking this spatula and stirring it. I'm going at the bottom and then just coming over. Going in the bottom and coming over. And that's all I'm doing. This is a great time where go ahead and get you a spoon, pull out one, and you want to check it for your final seasoning. Take a little bite. I often ask myself, do I taste salt? Do I feel a little heat or a little pepper? And if I don't, I keep adding a little more until I get the seasoning I'm looking for. So I am going to add just a touch more pepper, adjust my seasonings, touch more salt, fold that in again, and I think we are ready to go because that is tasting great. Now, this is a great item. The reason this is great for a dinner party, have out on a platter whenever your guests arrive. Looks like Jessie has a question from someone. What you got, Jess?
Yeah, Annie wants to know if you can sub any other seafood like shrimp or crawfish or any other fish.
First of all, Annie, hello. Thank you for the question. The question was, what are some great substitutes? And yes, 100%. Shrimp, perfect substitute. Boiled shrimp. I like to have shrimp. You don't want the shrimp too big, so if they're large shrimp, great. I would kind of cut them down a little bit because I want them to be able to fit on my crostinis. Crawfish, they can go right in here. Check your seasoning. Fantastic. Fish, yeah, I guess so. You know, if you had something like trout, or a white flaky fish, if you were to cook, saute, or bake it off, cool it, and then you can kind of break it into flakes. It winds up becoming very similar to jumbo lump. Haven't tried that personally, but I'm sure it will work out fine. Thanks for the question, Annie. Now, I'm going to come back here. Let's get some of these crostinis here. And look, super simple, y'all. We're going to come back and we're just going to start putting some of this crab meat ravigote right here onto these crostinis. You can make these, let's say you have a dinner party at your house and you want to have this ready for when your guests arrive. You can make several hours before, you can make the dressing a day ahead of time. It's going to hold up fantastic. And then what I would do is maybe an hour or so before guests start to arrive, you can start to fold your crab meat into your dressing. And then what you want to do is, you know, and then shortly before your guests would arrive, or that you want to serve these, because if your croutons are thin, they will get a touch soggy just from the dressing, so you don't want to do it like an hour ahead of time. But, you know, maybe 30 minutes or sooner before your guests arrive, just start putting some of this mixture right there on your crostinis, and they are going to be fantastic. So look, I'm going to put these on here, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to garnish these up. And look, be creative, y'all. I love a little slice of tomato underneath this and put this on, or a little wrinkle of lettuce. Anything is possible. This is just a very simple version. Now, if you look on my recipe, I talk about having some micro arugula. that's on the recipe. And if some of you guys are asking, well, what the heck is that? Let's talk about microgreens. Microgreens have been something, this is what we get right from the Baton Rouge Farmers Market for us. But you're even starting to find these at stores lately. And what microgreens are is, it's literally greens like these are, you know, beet tops, the bull's blood. These are micro arugula, and it's literally you take a arugula seed. It's only sprouted for about 5 days, and then they clip them. And they're really great as a garnish, but like I was talking about parsley earlier, these also are going to add a nice freshness to it because these are like concentrated flavor. Yeah, all that flavor trapped in that seed that when they just sprout, they're actually microgreens or more dense in nutrients because they're just so fresh and young vegetables. So I like adding different microgreens, but they look really pretty too. And you get all these little different great colors. So right before we go and serve them, we're gonna put a couple of microgreens on it, and it's gonna add another element to this dish. And we're gonna put those on there, and now we got us a platter of great little hors d'oeuvres that are gonna be perfect for any party. As we wrap up, I also wanted to show you one alternate that you could do as well. Any old salad. This is gonna be fantastic on these hot summer days. I wanted to keep it simple. Watch how simple I'm gonna throw this salad together using these ingredients. Got some salad greens. Went and grabbed a couple of cherry, or we get these baby heirloom cherry tomatoes, but any heirloom cherry tomatoes would be great. This has already got a lot of richness right here with the mayo and all the capers and stuff like that. So we're just gonna treat these greens very simply with some of the ingredients we've already been working with. I like to, check this out, y'all. I always like to season my salad greens. So I'm gonna put a little salt and pepper right there on my greens. That vinegar I used, I'm gonna put a little bit of vinegar. I'm gonna put a little bit of, the olive oil I used earlier. I'm gonna dress a little bit of olive oil in here. And then I have just a little splash of vinegar. I'm gonna put a little splash of vinegar in there. Basic vinaigrette, vinegar and oil, salt and pepper greens, because we're gonna get a lot of richness from this. I'm gonna lightly coat these with my hands in the salad bowl. Just get those just enough oil and vinegar just to kind of dress these greens. I still want these greens to, I don't want them to become heavy and weighted by that dressing because we're going to add this rich crab meat mixture on top of it. So we're going to get some of these greens on the plate. And this, man, you want to talk about a great lunch or dinner on a hot summer day that really is filling, but not too heavy. Some of those tomatoes on here. This is a great alternative if you just don't want to go the hors d'oeuvre route and still have something fantastic. So we got that on there. Let's come back and we're going to put a couple dollops of this Crabmeat Maison right on top like they would do at Galatoire's. Let's get some of that on there. And look, y'all, that is going to be a great salad as well. All right, y'all, that's the dishes. Oh, as we wrap up, we got another question. What you got, Jesse?
2 questions.
Hit me.
Instead of using thinly sliced tomato on the little crostinis, could you use cucumber?
100% would be. The question was, can you use cucumber as a base? Yes, I would definitely thinly slice some cucumber. I would go take your crostini, put a little thin slice of cucumber on it, then come back with your tomato, and then your crab and your microgreens. Fantastic. That's going to be bougie.
And the second question, did you pull off the stems of the microgreens or did you keep them on?
I left them on, but personal preference. I do sometimes. Man, that's a great question. Do you take the stems off of the microgreen? Depends on the microgreen. Like, for example, this is a great, I went and I found one. If I were to see this, chances are, just because it's going to be awkwardly fit on there and it's going to be too huge, oftentimes I'll just pop the top off, kind of discard this, and then I'll come back and put just the leaf part on. But the stems themselves are, it's not like a herb like thyme where the stems are super fibrous. The stems aren't going to be fibrous, but however, sometimes they just get too big. So just to keep my portions right, I'll pop it off. Jesse says we're all clear. Guys, thank y'all for the questions. Thank y'all for tuning in. So great to have y'all, and we will see you next week. Bye.